and welcome to the 62nd annual IDMA meeting. This is a celebration. For the first time in 62 years, IDMA is celebrating its annual day outside our headquarters, that is Mumbai. And a big hand to the organizers for giving us all the facilities, all the amenities to make this another huge round of success. This year we gather not only to celebrate our accomplishments, but also to embrace change and progress. For the first time in its history, our annual function is being hosted in a university, which is a temple of learning. And we are really thankful to all the organizers, to Nimesh Bhai and to Mehul and Dr. Kamdar for facilitating this and giving us this wonderful opportunity. As we reflect on the remarkable strides made by the pharmaceutical industry, we are reminded that innovation lies at the heart of progress. The landscape of healthcare is constantly evolving, presenting new challenges and opportunities to all of us. Just as the pharma industry has embraced innovation to revolutionize healthcare, IDMA too is steadfast on the path of innovation and growth. And that's why every year we do things differently. We want to give things which are more, better, and different for our members. Progress is a collective endeavor, and IDMA stands firm in its resolve to support and empower its members. We consist of 1,000+ members who are manufacturers of pharmaceutical products, formulations, and APIs, and also the allied industry manufacturers. So this 1,000+ is like a family. The pharma industry today believes that whatever we do is for the patients. So in the same way, whatever IDMA does is for its members. We are happy to have Dr. Vinod Paul, a man who really is concerned about the future of our country, about the health of our people. He always has an open door policy. I remember in the time of Deepnath Chaudhary's presidentship, we have met you several times, sir, and not once have you refused to see us. So we are really thankful and grateful. And despite your busy schedule, you have taken time to meet us here today. We are sincerely thankful to you, sir, for having made it to our annual day celebrations. We also have in our midst the doyen of the pharma industry, Mr. Dilip Sanghvi, and Mr. Samir Shah, Dr. Koshia, thank you, and our FDA controller from Goa, Madam Jyoti Sardesai. We have our president who has just escorted Dilip Bhai to this venue, and Samir Bhai also. So thank you very much, all of you. I have my colleague from OBPI, Anil Mathai, who's here. Sudarshan, of course, we have acknowledged. He is part of the IDMA family and an elder brother to me. So thank you very much, all of you dignitaries, members who have come from all over the country to grace this wonderful occasion. And without much ado, may I request our President, Dr. Viranchi Shah, to please deliver his presidential address.
A very good afternoon, friends. Originally, this session was to be chaired by Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, our Honorable Minister. But as you are aware, he has been assigned a duty in Rajkot because tomorrow the Honorable Prime Minister will be in Rajkot, and there will be certain inaugurations for AIIMS. Also, it's for the first time that the Prime Minister will also inaugurate the lab, the new advanced lab that the Indian Pharmacopoeia Commission has put in. And I think this is also one momentous achievement for this healthcare industry or pharmaceutical industry, if you put it that way, because never ever in the past we have seen that prime minister attaching such a important, such a big importance to a IPC lab. So I think it's a big plus for all of us. For me, it's more about the annual day, so I'll restrict myself to the activities that we as IDMA have been doing and what is in store for the next 1 year of my term. To start with, I would like to give a context of one major development that has happened in India, and it is about the Ram Mandir. And we know that with a lot of efforts, we have been able to have a wonderful mandir at Ayodhya, and it was cherished and it was celebrated all over India. So it just put me to add a little thought on Ramayana. And it so happened that if I went deeper into it, I could find temples of Lord Ram, of course, almost everywhere in India. We could also see temples of Hanumanji because he was a part of the journey in Ramayana. We could see temples of, a very small person in the whole journey, let's say Shabri. We could find a temple for Shabri. But I couldn't find a single temple for Sushen. And those of you who don't know who Sushen is, Sushen was the Ved who was called by Lord Ram to come and treat Lakshmanji when he was badly hurt during the war. He was actually an official Ved for Lanka, but on the call of Lord Ram, he comes and he treats not only Lakshmanji, he tells Hanumanji to bring the herbs that he thinks are required to treat Lakshman. And we all know Hanumanji goes and brings the entire mountain, and that's how it goes. The point here is that since times immortal, till today, whether it was the Satyug or Kalyug, whether it was the Ramayana or it was COVID, healthcare industry hasn't gotten enough recognition. And I think this is precisely why we are all here. And that is the reason IDMA is doing what it is doing, or IPA is doing what it is doing, and all the other associations are doing what they are doing. Because despite all the good work that we do, what you read in the public perception is that some batch has failed somewhere, or somebody has overcharged some medicines, and it's very difficult to find the silver lining. You always see the dark cloud. And I think one of the important things that we are trying to do is to find the silver lining and make it big, with the hope that someday the entire cloud will go white. And then in this quest, in the last 2 years that I have been leading this association, and I've been fortunate to have a wonderful legacy with me, we have been trying to address a number of issues. With the 22 committees that we have at IDMA, we have been able to put balanced representations on each and every subject that is important to the industry. We have been engaging with the ministers, Mansukh Bhai and Piyush Bhai, because they both, the decisions that are taken in their offices impact the industry. We have been interacting with Dr. V.K. Paul. We have been interacting with the DCGI, with the DOP. Unfortunately, even Dr. Arunish Chawla will not be able to make it today because he has been asked to report to that special event. he was about to come today and make a very good announcement on handholding some of the small and medium enterprises for what we know is a journey towards the revised Schedule M, and which we are all very sure we will all make to reach that new target. We have been interacting with Mr. Pant has just left, I believe. We have been regularly interacting with Mr. Pant and the NPPA team. We have been talking with the Ministry of Commerce on various free trade agreements that take shape, and because they also impact us, there is a profound impact of the lines, that small things that go into those agreements, and how we as association could put our thoughts into it so that we have a faster and deeper access to global markets. We interact with global regulatory agencies. We interact with the US FDA. Last year we had interaction with the New Zealand Ministry of Health, Ethiopia, Sri Lanka, several officials from various countries that we do business with. And our experience has been that everyone has a patient hearing to the reasonable points that we make. Of course, the government machineries, they work very differently from how we normally understand. And we have to be persistent. We have to be very crisp, because usually if you make a representation of 10 pages, you will find it in somebody's dustbin. We have to make sure that you are able to make a small précis which reads into, let's say, half a paragraph or 2 paragraphs at most, so that it catches the attention. And we try to do all this. Apart from that, when I love to work on this RITE, which is the 4 areas that I had identified to work, which is the regulatory reforms, the innovation, team building and entrepreneurship. And in the last 1 year, we have done good amount of progress on all the 4. In terms of regulatory reforms, you have seen, we have had a Schedule M which has come out. There were several other reforms that have happened. We are still working with the government for a couple of issues that we think are very important. One being the decriminalization of minor offences. I think India is the only country in the world where failure to meet specifications is a criminal offence. And this should change. And we are with the government when we say that major offences, like if it is a spurious drug or it's a counterfeit, it's adulterated, of course it should have the highest possible penalty. But when it comes to minor offences like labeling errors, it could be failure to meet specifications, we still believe that those need to be decriminalized, and we are working towards that. In terms of engaging with NPPA for the regulatory reforms, we press our views that prospective pricing has to become a reality, because it is a national waste to recall or relabel the products with a new MRP with the smallest change. We are also working with the NPPA for some other issues like approval of the pricing for certain new drugs, how it can be simplified. Or when a product is marketed at a price which is below the ceiling price, can there be a provision to allow it to come to the ceiling price? Currently, that is not allowed. In terms of regulations, again, when it comes to patents, IDMA and IPA share the same views that we should continue being TRIPS compliant, but we should be very cautious when it comes to TRIPS Plus, and ensuring that there should not be any backdoor entries of extending patents beyond what is internationally agreed. On the innovation front, we started with a R&D committee when I took the control, and the committee is working well, and we are engaging with DSIR, we are engaging with several other government and private institutes. I was just talking to Dilip Bhai and he was suggesting that innovation is a very big gap that we have in India and we all need to focus there. And innovation does not simply mean new chemical entities. There is a lot to innovation beyond that. So how do we work on sensitizing the need? Because in modern world, most of the innovation starts from the academic institutes. Yesterday, I spoke about why we chose an academic institute for such an important event, because we all believe that the future innovation and future entrepreneurs are going to come from here. So how do we harness industry academia interaction? How do we cultivate an ecosystem that supports the small innovation getting captured right from the source and it progresses up the channel and finally it goes to large companies to be commercialized, patented and commercialized, because probably the startups or small companies may have a smaller bandwidth to take it to a certain level. But can we have a convergence of the large companies and small innovators, a platform where there could be an exchange of what is happening in this space? I had an interaction with the Department of Science and Technology, and the secretary told me of the ambitious plan that the government of India has in creating a pool of the 10,000 genomes that they have created, for example, or creating a pool where the innovators can come to the government with their information, and in the exchange, they can also get a lot of AI tailored solutions, which will make, because I think innovation is probably the only space where a lot of impact can be generated through data analytics and machine learning, and then AI, the route can be shortened. So how industry platform can be created by the government. In fact, in one of the talks with Dr. Paul, when I was in his office, he highlighted that when during the COVID, when everybody was expecting that out of the vaccine diagnostics and treatment, we will first get a treatment, it was actually the other way around, and we got a vaccine, and very honestly, we couldn't reach to a good treatment. So how can we bridge those gaps? So we are, as IDMA, we are continuously working on that. In terms of team building, we are strengthening our footprints across India and ensuring that all the progressive companies are on one platform. We are also ensuring that the problems that the industry faces, right from the grassroots level companies to mid-sized companies, the right problems are channelized up, and we are able to help them resolve some of the issues that we can. In terms of entrepreneurship, what you are seeing today, Vriddhi, is one very important initiative that we have taken. We are trying to create Vriddhi, a platform for pharma entrepreneurs. So there is no other talk but to see the future, to predict the future, and as I said, to understand what is going to change and what is not going to change, so that we can deploy our resources and help the entrepreneurs to take maximum out of the return of the resources that they have put. We have gained success in many of our efforts. The journey is on, and I can assure you that in the years to come, even when the next president comes, the overall philosophy of the association has been very progressive and growth centric, and will continue efforts for that. This morning I was interacting with Nimish Bhai, and he gave me a very interesting stats that very recently the government of India has paid out approximately 23 crores in terms of returns to LIC and income tax. Yeah. And probably this has happened for the first time in the Indian history, that the government has got cash rich and they're able to give the dues out And this stats is very important because it only shows that India is getting stronger. And when we say India is getting stronger, it also means that all of us sitting in the room will have more opportunities. Right now, we are very grateful to Samir Bhai and Dilip Bhai. They agreed to address some of our young minds. So we had about 20, 30 young minds with us in a closed room. And I can tell you from the kind of interaction I saw that they are eager to grow. They had a lot of questions. And it also shows that India has the talent to grow and the will. So therefore, in the coming years, we will have as an industry to play a more important role. And on behalf of IDMA, let me assure you that someday we will have the temple for Sushen. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, National President Viranchi Bhai, for your motivational address. Friends, all of us should be very, very proud belonging to the pharma industry, because no country in the world can pride itself of manufacturing 60,000 formulations. No country can pride itself of having 3,500 plus registered manufacturers. And no country can have that pride of having 10,000 plus pharmaceutical manufacturing units. So a big round of applause for all of you. Well, it's time for the keynote address, the personality we've all been waiting to welcome and address. But before that, I'll request Viranchi Bhai to please come up on the dais. This personality has served on the faculty of the Department of Pediatrics, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi, from 1985 to 2020, and was head of the department for nearly a decade. He is a globally recognized medical scientist and a public health exponent. The government appointed him as a member in the rank of the Union Minister of State of the National Institute of Transforming India, the NITI Aayog, in August 2017, where he leads the health, nutrition and education verticals. He has played a pivotal role in formulating the Ayushman Bharat PMJAY, the Ayushman Bharat Health and Wellness Center scheme and Poshan Abhiyan. He has served as the chairman of the Board of Governors in supersession of the Medical Council of India in 2018-2020. His tenure was recognized for a record increase in undergraduate and postgraduate medical seats and introduction of telemedicine guidelines, district residency scheme, and a plethora of other reforms. He is a part of the core team of the Union Government for COVID-19 pandemic response. He chairs the Empowered Group on Emergency Management Plan and Strategy, Empowered Group on Vaccination, and the National Task Force on COVID-19, as well as the National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration for COVID-19. He has over 4,000 scientific publications and an H index of 62 to his credit. He is a fellow of all the 3 science academies of the country and a recipient of the pre-eminent Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Centenary Award for Excellence in Biomedical Research. Dr. Paul was conferred with the prestigious Isan Dogramaki Family Health Foundation Prize by WHO at the 2018 World Health Assembly for his globally recognized service in the field of family health. With these few words, I have great pleasure to introduce and to welcome on the dais Dr. Vinod Paul, MD, PhD, FAMS, FNASC, FASC, FNA. Welcome you, sir. So maybe request you to deliver your keynote address. May I request Dr. Viranchi Shah to present flowers to Dr. Paul, over to you, sir, for your inspirational address.
Pharmaceutical industry of our great nation who are present here. Guests, I'm very honored and humbled to be here. You represent a vibrant sector of our nation. You represent the healing sector of India. And you represent a sector which has brought us laurels in recent times in particular. First and foremost, I like to convey the gratitude of citizens of India for your services, for your contribution, for your hard work during the course of the pandemic that we all experienced. You delivered drugs, medicines, vaccines to the world and to the large population of this nation. You are the true corona warriors, and I salute you on behalf of the government, academia, and indeed citizens of India. Thank you. Thank you for what you did. We meet here today at a very special juncture. Some of the points that were made by Viranchi ji in a way. We are meeting here when we believe that this particular pandemic is now over or subsided, this particular one. But the converse of this is that such challenges will come, and that realization is one realization with which we sit here in this great hall. Second, and even more important, we are meeting here today in the early years of Amrit Kal, Kartavya Kal, leading up to Viksit Bharat by 2047. That's the commitment our nation has made under the leadership, the visionary leadership of our Prime Minister Modi ji. And that has imperatives for all of us. And that has set the stage for us to think big and to build on where we have been, where we have reached, and to take our great nation to a level that generations have been aspiring for and make that historic difference in front of our own eyes. Young people, young children born in this phase will see a different world in the next 25 years, and we are on the roll. We visualize 2047 as a year when the life expectancy of us Indians will move from 70 to 71 years to 85 years. We expect infant mortality to be below 5 at that time. Currently about 27. We know and we pledge ourselves that by that time our economy would have grown from just over $3 trillion as we are today to expectedly $30 trillion. 9 times increase. We expect, these are current estimates that you hear from experts, we expect our per capita income to move from about $2,400 to anything around $17,000, $18,000. Imagine that much of resource being available overall, and it's our duty to make sure that it reaches everybody and no one is left behind. This also means, I'm told, that our industry will move from 50 billion to 500 billion. That's 10 times. I think the repetitive number is the 9x and the 10x that we are looking upon. And for child mortality, 1/10 in a way, so to say, figurative. That's the transformation that is going to take place, and we believe it is not just a dream, it's possible. With all seriousness, when we study this in the NITI Aayog, as the nation's apex think tank, we believe it is possible. And that's why these numbers are being put. The work goes on to refine the models, but these numbers that I'm sharing with you seem to be popping up. And I hear from you today, 50 billion moving to 500 billion. So that's the future, and that's the special moment that we are experiencing today. And that's a special moment that we must embrace as partners as we move forward with the strengthened, vibrant pharma sector. Viranchi, you said no other country has done this. Let me say, add to that. No other country gave medicines to 150 countries during the wake of pandemic. Which country gave vaccines to 101 countries in spite of our great demand? Having started for those vaccines from zero. No other country had 8 licensed vaccines or has 8 licensed vaccines which are used and can be used. Covishield, Covaxin, Novavax, Corbevax, Zycov-D, DNA vaccine, nasal vaccine, Sputnik. We did 2 variants. Why are we forgetting that? We could do it. What a short period of time. And we used all the possible platforms. Adenovectoral, inactivated virus, DNA, the first mRNA vaccine, thermostable, and given to be the current version, Omicron specific, and to be given intradermally. Nasal vaccine, the first nasal vaccine. So that's our potential. We rose to the occasion. We could supply remdesivir in a matter of days and weeks. You did it to more than 100 countries. So we clearly meeting at a very, very special moment from multiple directions, if I visualize the scenario of the day. When Viranchi Shah ji met me, we're doing conversations, and he said, "Aap aake ye sab baatein bataiye." तो 3-4 बातें ही मैं समक्ष रखना चाहूँगा आपके, and it's more like a conversation. You may have heard these things from others already the second day of the meeting, but let me state them. Firstly, I think we should recognize that the recent times have been times of significant policy changes or pronouncements, some of which have been referred to already. But I wish to remind us that we have a pharma medtech research policy, a framework, medtech device policy, and the special initiative that we are all proud of, the PLI schemes that have been evolving in the last few years. And very, very special, something very close to my heart has been the scheme on promoting research and innovation in pharma medtech sector, the PRIP scheme. I love it because I come from academic background, and I have done in my own little way research. And I don't know, some of you may know that I worked on a surfactant product, which is another story. Someday I'll tell you that story of how we walked the neonatal surfactant, developed it, and so on. So I have something closer association in that little sense. But the PRIP scheme, which works and aims to strengthen our NIPERs, but in addition to have 3 pathways for research by the industry, academia research, and then research from TRL 1 to 4, and then TRL 5 to 9 in 2 segments is very promising. We believe it has been developed in partnership with several of you, most of you, all of you, perhaps in some sense or the other. I like us to be mindful of now using this opportunity to the extent that it has opened the pathways for our collaboration. Because going forward, as you heard from the podium just now, we have to be an innovation-driven sector. I'm stating the obvious. You heard it. Let this again be stated. For us to be different in coming here, for us to outsmart others across the world. We have to be R&D and innovation sector. And I again plead to you that please, let's change that paradigm. And IDMA, you have a role to bring about that change. The paradigm shift is needed. I've heard my Honorable Minister of Health and Family Welfare who would say, and you may have heard it from him, I'm happy to quote, he says, मैं दवाई कंटेनर भर के देता हूं तो इतने से पैसे लिफाफे में वापस आते हैं. वो दवाई लिफाफे में भेजते हैं, मैं कंटेनर में पैसे भेजता हूं. सोचिए इस चीज को. नहीं, there is profound truth in this. And going forward, let's not just look at, a linear even exponential growth. Remember, there could be pitfalls. Things can change. Geopolitics can change. Everything is not predictable. Everything is not known. But one thing which is known is that if we are R&D and innovation driven, we will have place under the sun because we will offer new solutions. And that's the paradigm shift that I request, and we're happy to be in that dialogue. We have to work with complex, not only simple molecules, but complex, long molecules. We have to look at biosimilars. We have to look at CAR-T therapies, and we have to look at other therapies that monoclonals and all. So we need to work in that direction, please, and that's my first message on behalf of the stakeholders, key stakeholders in this country. My second request to you is coming from the pandemic experience. This time around, the world was caught unawares in a way. Every nation responded to the best of its capabilities and so on. We had special responsibility, a large population, humongous population, and to be able to have products available to this large population. It happened because you did it. But then next time around, the expectation would be even more for us to look after the world. But also, above all, the capability to be able to make the product that may be needed at the time in terms of medical countermeasures, diagnostics, treatments, and vaccine, therapeutics, and vaccines. In some ways, we were lucky that we had multiple vaccines that worked. Some vaccines did fail, globally also. But then we had a basket of vaccines which we could develop. And in the first year of vaccine administration, the independent data shows that it saved, and I should have said it earlier, 34 lakhs during the first year of vaccination. 34 lakh lives were saved because of the vaccines produced and delivered, produced by India and delivered by India to its people. 34 lakh. That's the saving in terms of lives that you did, apart from the ones that came from use of medicines. Another huge number. Imagine, that's the temple to which the tribute must be paid, and is being paid from the hearts and minds of Indians. As we review, I'm coordinating a committee on future pandemic preparedness, learnings from the past. With very eminent people, we have had very extensive consultations with experts from within the country and beyond. One thing is very clear, and I want you to listen to this very carefully, that next time around, what we are talking about is a 100-day mission. 100-day mission means that the race will be, and the responsibility, global and national, will be to create vaccine in less than 100 days. This time around, we did it in 9 months or so, 2 weeks after Oxford AstraZeneca getting licensed in UK, and about 3 weeks after Pfizer vaccine getting licensed in another geography. We were in step. But next time around, it's not going to be 9 months. There is a clear consensus that readiness should be of the level of delivering in 100 days. That will be the expectation. And for therapeutics, by extension, 60 days, 2 months. And for diagnostics, 30 days, not 3 months, but 2.5. The brief point is that now that we are up upgraded. The whole system is now up-regulated. The paradigm is to be able to respond in this fashion. And for vaccines, it would mean that for potential viruses, we believe there are 25 potential viruses which can play mischief, but there could be those outside. But for these 25, we're talking about vaccine libraries, virus libraries, vaccines, prototypes that are ready up to stage 2 trial, human trials. Then they can go further. So a lot of preparation today would be needed to be able to respond tomorrow. I want you to be prepared for that situation, which can arise any time, and India has to succeed. There is no other alternative. So we have to be ready to be able to respond with that level of speed. And I want us to discuss what it means in terms of readiness of people who are here. As Viranchi ji mentioned, there were discussions last time where we thought therapeutics will come much before the vaccines. In pandemic, the therapeutic portfolios were relatively modest. They were needed. Remdesivir was there, and other monoclonals came up. But then vaccines overtook and they did the job. But next time around, it could be reverse. And I ask you that how much readiness we have to be able to take our potential molecules to the level of delivery. Last time around, we could have done better in this sphere for therapeutic. I'm aware of 4 or 5 potential drugs. They may or may not have worked. My pain is that we did not mount optimum clinical trial effort. I leave it there. Next time, it's okay to churn medicines. We had that potential, but then when the journey was to make a new product pass through the clinical trials, we needed to be much more ready, and therefore I want the ignition to start as early as possible. That's my humble plea. So, pandemic preparedness for medical countermeasures, specifically in this room, therapeutics and vaccines, please, we need to be coming together. It would mean connect with the R&D systems, the university systems, the academia, keeping a lighthouse, watch on what is happening on the global front. We should not be, left alone. We should be investing in chronic, ongoing, endemic problems, which are, in a way, problems of their own kind, the Kaisanur forest disease or the Nipah virus diseases, on which we should try out things so that our machines are running, and when the time comes, we can build on them. We need vaccines and other solutions for some of these: Zika virus, Nipah virus, KFT, antimicrobial resistance. So we have to succeed with them to be able to be ready to succeed with something, succeed against something which is unknown. So let's succeed with the known challenges to be able to succeed tomorrow in a warlike situation for the unknown challenges. My third point is very happy to report to you that some of you have ventured into providing us interesting treatments for rare diseases. I want to compliment those companies. We started in the NITI Aayog in partnership with the Ministry of Health to look at priority rare diseases. So the academics prioritized them, and we looked at some low-hanging fruits, possibilities for which we had strength and opportunities. And I'm happy to state, and you may have seen this in the press, that 4 drugs for rare diseases have been put in the market. 4 more could come in any time. And then the difficult journey of addressing the spinal muscular atrophy and the Gauchers and the mucopolysaccharidosis, for which enzyme therapies and genetic therapies are required. The challenge has to be faced. Can we rise to the occasion to meet that challenge of the enzyme therapies? Gene therapies, that's our future. How do we work together to do so? And what role the association can play with other players who are somewhat different in to be able to make this because there will be competition on this that we have to overcome. So the drugs that you may have, I want to name them. We have nitisinone available for tyrosinemia, iglostat available, trientine, cannabidiol. These four have become available. Sapropterin, miglostat, carglumic acid, sodium phenylbutyrate. These are the drugs used in some other rare disease conditions are likely to become available anytime soon. And these drugs that you made here are 1/100th and 1/60th of the cost at which they were being imported in for treatment. So thank you for doing that service. And this will change further. I also salute a particular company which made syrup form of hydroxyurea, first time in the world. Hydroxyurea is a treatment of sickle cell disease. You are aware of the National Sickle Cell Anemia Elimination Program mission launched by the Prime Minister. Hydroxyurea is standard therapy for everybody who has the homozygous, who has the disease, to be given lifelong. Treatment in tablet form capsule was available, but the syrup form, because it must start early to protect the organ systems for children, was not available. You have made it possible. On another front, CAR-T therapy for a difficult cancer has become available thanks to the innovation effort made out by a private company in combination with Tata Cancer Hospital. Very happy and very proud that India has broken that glass ceiling. And please, this room, players, young people in particular, entrepreneurs, we have to break many such ceilings for the tough part. If we do the tough part, the world will respect. We are doing relatively less tough part now. It might have been tough in the past, and we are on a roll. But we have to now do the difficult things, the monoclonals, the enzymes, these genetics therapies. Please, we have to rise to the occasion. So that's my request to you. My next point briefly are two. One, we are trying to change the ecosystem for APIs, the bulk drugs. I urge IDMA to keep a watch how we are doing in this space. We are aware of the profound dependence we have on a particular geography. That has to change. We have realized that that's about national security, not just health security, not just drug security. And therefore, I hope we are working well in your individual spaces, but also in particular by making the bulk drug park initiative a big grand success. Please go back and see your own opportunities for the 3 bulk drug parks that are being laid out. Some of them are in development, and I like you to please make use of this opportunity. Tell us how to be helpful, to be able to connect with the state governments or whichever way, or the regulators, and we will be there. But API security is one other reminder. You know it all, but I'm bringing that forth once again, that we have to be ready to be self-sufficient and in advanced stage for the bulk drugs. My last point is with regard to the Schedule M GMP initiative, the pronouncement that has been made by the government. We look forward to compliance with the regulation by all of you in time. And here, while the government will be looking at trying to be helpful in a slightly different way, that's being discussed, as you know. But please also help the weak, the smaller companies in your membership to become compliant with Schedule M in your own way. And I heard from you the initiative that you've taken. This was much needed. We heard about some red flags being, brought to our attention in some countries here and there. It's not about that product. It's not about that company. It's not about that particular location. It's about India. Any such thing which is said in another nation, another place, is in the name of India's medicine. They don't know where it came from, which company did it. So for India, we will raise our standards of manufacturing. We will comply with Schedule M. That's the expectation. That's the path. That's the norm. and we'll make it happen by a certain date that has been promulgated, that has been announced, and we'll all work together that nobody raises a finger on our quality. That trust we need as for India, we need it for the world, and we need it for the bigger glory of our great nation in coming years. I am grateful to you for the opportunity that you have given me. I consider to be part of this extended, wonderful, vibrant, inspiring family. It has been my privilege and blessing to have interacted with you over these years, and in particular in a very difficult phase. And I'm happy that we are together as we move forward, even in a more resurgent, revamped, re-energized way toward the goal of Viksit Bharat, to which your sector will play a very major role, not only in terms of economics, but also the care, social dimension of inclusive development, the wellness and the health that you contribute so directly. Thank you very much, Jai Hind.